So on screen should be a code snippet. Pause if you need to look at it at any length. This is for the spell, or in my case, I'm going to pseudo-name it skill, called Stupor, which if Future Jordan did the thumbnail correctly, then you should see why I am doing things. If I didn't, well, it depends. Because again, what I choose to do for the thumbnail, or what I choose to say here, kind of depends on what I'm thinking the thumbnail would be. But as we get a Task 7 curse run, perfect. The harder the run, the more challenging this will be, and the harder playtesting I'll go through. That's not the correct word I wanted to say, but we do have random item stats anyway. So, as we start with 7th Curse, and yeah, we're gonna do Zik Test, we'll see if I actually also we'll see if I actually put out perm versions of these characters. It would just mainly be the Ito files, because in this case, as we get into Zik-Task 7th Curse random item stats custom character, but it's a very specific custom character because I added these spells, which I'm calling skills, so I'm going to correct myself from the last episode, where, yeah, I assign them to a character, and they're not added to the spell pool, so they're not able to be obtained through other means. So basically, through the character's Ito file, excuse me, through the character's Ito file, it will be, these skills will be given to them. But alternatively, you could use items as well, but that depends on your flavor of the month. And so at this point, you might be wondering, as we see knowledge, Toxi-san, charisma, strength, second encounter, and maybe dexterity check. You might be wondering, well, Jordan, what happens if you get broken jaw? Thankfully, I don't remember if you can do this base, but definitely with the perm plugin, you can assign spells so that they are unaffected by broken jaw, because it would make no sense if you say use the swordsman character and they have a sword skill that is hindered by the fact that they have a broken jaw. I mean, maybe, but shrug. Had to cough really quickly, but as we look at one more time, Vigil, Mermaid, actually we're looking for Battlefields here, which is going to be funny because I did not edit a thing. So actually Battlefields is going to be 3rd. Akamanto and Feet. Well, we have to take these back to back to back then. So, but if things worked out correctly, it'll be fine. So immediately going in, let me just do this before I go into what I want to say. So, with this Meat Cleaver actually dealing more damage. So the way that these skills work in tandem is that you, not this one, Stupor, I'm just going to call it Stupor for short. I don't know if I even spelled obsessive right, but when you use this skill, there is you use 0, it could possibly be a free cast, but you could lose 1 reason and Doom could increase by 1, which is what happened here. The reason why I made it this way is because I wanted not to always cost 1 reason, and I didn't always want it to increase Doom. But you do need a Doom increase, because otherwise you get into pseudo-infinites that can exist in World of 4. Granted, you do need some knowledge for that, but hey. But basically what the skill does is, I'll use it again because I want more damage. This can give you anywhere from, this could give you 3, it says 1, 5, or 10. It's actually supposed to say 3, 7, or 14 damage. And once you use the skill, and it can only be used outside of combat, you can use this skill called Lash Out, which if I try to use it here, you can't, nothing happens, so nothing happens. But when I get into combat, basically I can deal damage, basically. That's about it. Not really much else to mention there. That's literally what the skill literally says what it does, except for the fact that I kept a typo because I was considering whether or not I wanted to keep 1, 5, or 10, but 3. We'll work with 3, 7, or 4 and 14 for now. And if nothing else, at minimum 3, because 1 damage doesn't really feel well. Actually, if the cast for Lash Out is free, then theoretically speaking, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. It should be fine. Now, with that being said, you can't always assign skills to, well, the funny thing is, not a lot of spells are used in World of Horror, so if you had to kind of meta out or give skills to characters, you would just make them spells. Especially if you have a lot of free reign over whether or not certain spells can be used through World of Horror, and you can ignore Broken Jaw. Broken Jaw is one of the most important parts of it. Curse Signs kind of exist, but Curse Signs is kind of fine with the way that the game works right now. Because, I mean, it should be fine. Lore-wise, it makes some amount of sense, but as we take damage here, I think we can one-shot, I was going to say Toxi-san, Akamanto here. So when I use Lash Out, we deal 7 damage. If we try to use it again, it's not like it keeps the damage stored, by the way. So you can only use it once, and the way that happens is that once you do everything, like hey, I'm gonna see how much damage that I've stored, deal that damage. After all of that, you can. After all of that, I set the stored damage back to 0. It has a certain variable name. I think it was shown in the very beginning. But one last thing, I did mention that this can hit ghost type enemies. Shrug. It was more that I was just too lazy to add in a ghost if statement, but really, fine. It's fine as is. And then yeah, if you see, if I try to use inside of combat, it doesn't work. But with this said, I think I can one-shot this if I do this correctly. Ooh, okay, I almost missed it. And yeah, and then I was testing other stuff as well, with enemies specifically, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do what I'm thinking of, so it's not great. I mean, I'll mention other things. Specifically, I was looking to the Perm plugin has a lot of, how should I say, set-get statements, if that makes any sense. So what I mean by that is that often syntax used in the Perm plugin, especially when you're trying to do variable things with variables, whether it's a number, whether it's a string or word, you get the point. They both get a variable, but also set it, or look at it, really. But in those cases where you're trying to look at a variable and do an action based on that variable, you're only scanning true-false things. So, again, if this makes no sense to you, just follow with me because I'm trying to mention the bigger picture, which is I was basically just trying to grab information about an enemy and do things based off of that. So you can look at variables and strings, but those are only things that you set. You cannot, unless I missed something. I spent like a good 30 minutes trying to look through documentation, but you cannot get or read basically enemy HP, damage, power, so on and so forth, and even the name to some extent. I think you can read type or name, I forgot, but basically trying to grab specifically the other values and to some extent skills, but that's usually you're looking at HP, damage, and power if you want to do something special. But again, this is a lot more than what would be. Did I ever? Yeah, okay, I did proc it, but I only got 3 damage. Things, basically. There's a lot of things that can be done. And so a lot of this gets passed through mainly for if statements in this case, because that's primarily what the Perm plugin deals with. On top of things like pick prizes or pick, which means do a random value. So in specific, when I use Stupr, it's choosing one of 3 values basically, along with the cost for a reason and doom, which is also pick one or pick reason or pick doom, increase or not increase, decrease. Which in that case, to note, do I want to do this by the way? I think I did get 7 damage. Yeah, I do. So let's just do this. Hold on, let me focus for a moment so I don't die. Yeah, there's a lot of get set, because if you try to change a variable or make a variable, it checks if it exists, if that makes any sense. So what that means is that you can make and basically change a variable and then read that variable, but it's not anything from the game. Now, at that point, I understand the reason why. Again, this is not positive or negative criticisms. It's just my observations based on what I've gone into at the moment. I need to keep saying that because it is important to mention. But you might be messing with the code at a certain point, even though you're only reading or observing variables that pass through World of Horror. So yeah, and that's usually a no-go. But again, I'm not the legal expert here. Also, did I do Stupr, by the way? I really hope I did. I did not. This is going to be interesting then. So, you'll note here that I also didn't allow these spells to be forgotten, so that, you know, you can't just forget skills. I mean, you could, theoretically speaking, but also the sad part here is that I eventually have to gamble, but I think it might be fine, especially if you curse dull. Yeah, okay. We still need to kind of gamble, but hopefully I hit this 80%. Am I on sick task, by the way? I'm going crazy. Yeah, I am. So we are slowly losing stats, but thankfully this character, her stats are usually high enough. I think we need a point in knowledge, but after that, we're free to just build anything we want. And if we use Stupr, we do a lot better here. A lot of Ziktas's danger on top of just 0 statting, but Ziktas's danger comes in also your action speed in combat, because after a certain point, even though your stats don't provide that much to speed, it's still enough where it matters in a lot of cases. Funny enough. So as we enter battlefields here, thankfully we stocked 14 damage, so we should be relatively okay. I added the same boss fight literally at the beginning of this mystery to do tests, but here it's fine because, well, if things work out correctly, we get to like one-shot this boss. Shrug, that's all I have to say. And so here you'll note that once we get 3 strength, we're not able to do 3 attack boost into an attack anymore. And with 2 extra strength, I would be able to do prep strong, which will allow me to do desperate prep strong. But again, a lot of things to think about. Too many variables, too many things. So, oh, that's right. We have a forced event. So I was gonna say, am I gonna run into another enemy? Should be fine. 7 damage, I think, is okay. Unfortunately, we just die here because I failed 2 perception checks in a row. So we'll do another quick run. But otherwise, the only thing I was trying to look around to do was look at enemy HP, so that I can basically proc spell usage based on, well, an enemy's HP. But I mean, it's not the most important thing in the world. You can already do a lot with what Perm Plugin gives you. I'm just basically trying to push the limits as to what is possible. So, shrug. But otherwise, let's get into this and finally play a bit more focused. So anyway, I guess the last thing to mention is that I was trying to also look into basically giving enemies the special skills, but that enemies can do. In the case of the Scissor Lady, it would be basically her raising her scissors and dealing double damage on top of giving you slit mouth. I thought that was tied to basically the trait of a character as well, or not trait of an enemy, but another a trait, but not in the way that the World of Horror says traits, if that makes any sense. So we'll take we'll just do giggle stuff. So we'll do television and postal in this run if possible. But I did. Oh, let me just make sure I stored some damage. But yeah, just looking into enemy things. Oh, my voice. I was doing a lot. I was doing a lot in the past 12 hours, but really only 3 hours. All of this took me 3 hours. 1 hour to really code, the second hour to kind of check and test, and then the third hour to basically make the graphics, because last shot I just did a close-up of a drawing of an eye, and then Stupor I just used the character sprite. I mean, I'm not doing anything amazing is what I'm trying to say. Failed 2 checks in a row, but that's fine. Goodness, we're just gonna take the we're gonna take the Doom here. No, do I want it? That's right, because this is this hurts me more than it helps me. So yeah, we're just gonna roll there instead. But anyway, basically looking into things again. If I'm mentioning these things, I'm not trying to push any changes with the Perm plugin or World of Horror custom content in general, because again, who knows when things will change for World of Horror. So yeah, not really much else to say. Did I store damage, by the way? I really hope I did. It's actually quite important. I did not. Thankfully, we're only taking -1 all due to scars, but it would have been great to not take anything. Now, the other side of this is that I don't need to worry about any raised scissors, but would have helped out a lot more. Also to note, this meat cleaver is actually faster than I thought. But anywho, Stupor. Now, that being said, you might notice that I'm using Stupor pretty much all the time, but because there's a chance that you get 1 Doom, 1 Reason, and it only deals 3 damage, you only store 3 damage, then, like, I think it's okay for what it is. Especially with a character that's usually a little weaker without this skill. I'll admit, these skills make her a lot stronger. But because RNG exists, it could just be very, very bad. You could just end up losing 1 Reason, 1 Doom. 1 Reason, 1 Doom is not something you want to be taking every encounter, basically, is what I think. But it is usually better than the average case, if that makes any sense. And the reason why I say that, let's just rest here just so we don't die. I know we're on Goizo, but we need to rest, otherwise we die. The reason I say that is because I think on average, if you don't get any boost during the run or at the beginning of the run, you end up losing on Harbinger difficulty, and I think that's an important threshold to meet. That's balanced enough to keep the game interesting, in my opinion, because there are more than a few players who play on Harbinger that just smash it out of the park every now and again. The reason why I lose, on top of just my brain being bad, is that I am autopiloting a lot, so And that's not really an excuse either, but meh. Actually, I think we just want to fight this normally. Yeah, we just want to fight this normally. We could just two-shot this for -1 all. Now, that's still worse than doing Stupor into Lash Out with high stored damage, but meh. But at this point, if nothing else, I hope people take away that don't know anything about the Perm plugin. You can do a lot. You can do a lot. And this is all thanks to two specific functions in the Perm plugin, which is the if statement, which is very powerful on its own, just in general for programming's sake, and the pick statement, which allows you to pick and basically randomize things. I think there's another way. I think it's called like any prizes or pick prizes or something. It uses different. I was a bit confused because in other files it says something completely different. I did use Stupor, right? I'm gonna use Stupor. Yeah, no, I didn't use Stupor. We get 14 damage. Hey, but might be a bit high, but it's fine. Because as you noticed here, a lot of this is actually due to Scars helping me out here, but yeah, it's the if statement is very powerful, if nothing else. But also being able to randomize among a selection is also allows for very varied things. What this also could mean is that even though I can't give, so let me just kind of rewind on myself or argue against myself earlier in the video. This video is that even though I can't assign enemy skills to custom enemies, you can still do a lot in events before fighting the enemy and basically randomize things. There are a few custom mysteries that do this already. They give you different versions of an enemy. Even Television there gives you a different version of that boss based on decisions you made. So maybe it now deals all damage, maybe it deals less damage, maybe it has less HP. Things of this nature are already good enough. It's just if we were to expand things that are possible, the possibility of giving enemies extra things would be nice, but it's not needed at the moment. And how do I know that? Because not a lot of people are making custom content for the Perm plugin anyway, so might as well not slap on so much things that they can do while not much has been made, if that makes any sense. That sounds kind of pessimistic, but I think you get where I'm kind of getting at. And if you don't, I don't know how else to explain what I want to say at the moment. We have to Stupor again, by the way. Yeah, 3 damage. You don't want 3 damage. You take what you can get, but sure. You usually want 7 or 14 damage. It might be a bit high, but again, it's not like these perm changes to this character as a perm version has been released publicly yet. So I mean, you tell me what you think, because this might as well just be a playtest anyway. So yeah. Now, that being said, as we just take 5 Doom in the face and then -1 Reason, and Hallucinations, but that's less harmful than what just happened to me. Yeah, I forgot what I was going to say. Anywho. So, as we could actually survive this run. It's very hard to, because 1, we're stuck, and 2, our Doom is high, but and by stuck, I mean my stamina and reason are low in a mystery where I can't rest at my own leisure. Now, granted, we were on Goizo, so it's not like I would be resting anyway at this point, but we got a lot farther than I normally expect. Also, that custom event there grants a lot of decreased Doom. If I were any other mystery, I'd actually be a lot more scared. But hey, we don't want to take the damage here. Is this 8 damage real, by the way? I don't think it is. Yeah, it's not. We actually deal 14 damage, so we're gonna Lash Out, but then just, ooh. I think this is guaranteed. Okay, good. 14 damage, right? Yeah, 14 damage. Probably could have throw. No, I was going to say, Box Cutter only does, I think, 1 damage on throw. Broken. Or just both versions of it, really. Can't use Stupor anymore, because that just lowered my reason, so it's a good thing I didn't use Stupor, because I might have died here. Now, if you run into an enemy, actually, I could still lose here. And of course, I lose to RNG. So again, even though my combat is a lot better with the perm version of this character, as you've seen here, poor choices on top of just RNG hurts me. So without further ado, if you have anything to say, anything to talk about, you know what to do. Otherwise, if you want to support me, that's cool. If you don't want to support me, that's cool too. But otherwise, thank you for watching. I'll see you later on.